At the end of the presentation, you will know why I created Global Communication Project and what Global Communication Project offers. Once in a blue moon, a man comes along and grasps the relationship between life events which have until now seemed quite separate, and gives mankind a different dimension of knowledge. Albert Einstein, demonstrating the relativity of space and time, was such a man. Or in the other field, or in a less cosmic level, Benjamin Levy-Worf was one who grasped the relationship between human thinking and human language. And there were other great minds like Immanuel Kant, who did some research and very, very significant work on this field. But the depth of Kant analysis is unique. But the notion of knowledge is divided into two kinds: innate prior ideas present in mind and the experimental information coming in through the senses. Or Aristotle, the anima, mental image. The mental image is imprinted onto our bodily organ, is the final product of the entire process of sense perception. It doesn't matter if the experience was seen or heard, every single experiment ends up in the memory as a mental image. Aristotle, Kant, Einstein, and other great minds, very similar events, and my personal experiences made me create a global communication project. These great teachers, they were putting together the puzzle of our mysterious world in the past. So let us see why global communication and the method of communicating, passing information, it needs to be updated. Right now in 2014, we have around 7 billion people living on Earth. The human population is in 2014 7 billion. As you see as on this graph, in 1960s it was just 3 billion. So it's about 40-50 years the population doubled. We populate fast. In the 19th centuries, European explorers discovered thousands of human tribes, and each and every one of them had a very well-spoken languages. At least 7,000. There are 6,500 now. Every time the last speaking person of the language dies, a language dies out. Yet the overwhelming majority of the people didn't write. There's no doubt that while humans have an instinct to speak, but they do not have an instinct to write. Let us see for ourselves how the brain processes information. I'm going to show you two images, both for 5 seconds. Try to grasp as much information as you can and try to pay attention what you feel when you see these pictures. The first image and the second image. So which is the picture which grabbed you more, which grasped you more? Which are those pictures? The first one or the second one? Which gives you more information, which connects you more, which gives you more feeling, which is more understandable, and plenty of questions I can ask you. The difference between these two pictures and images, that the first one is digital, which is a written, artificially coded information, and the second one is analog. Even though the digital structure of our written language has become a very big central of our human society, but it is not coded into our nature. Nature passes information, carries information, and communicates in light and sound ways. Just like our brain processes information throughout analog system, which is waves and frequencies. That is why we do not remember for an article we have read, or we cannot even rephrase a sentence of an article we read a couple hours ago, but we can remember after years or months for a picture, even though we've seen it only once. So which are the solutions, what we can do and solve this? Global Communication Project offers a solution to these questions. And let me just explain again what's happening with the world or global languages. As David Harmon says, there is a strong possibility that we'll lose languages that people are using as their main vehicle of expression, which they may regard as one of the linchpins of their self-identity. That's what it says in the National Geographic article. David Harmon was giving this interview about the diversity of the languages and the loss of mother tongue. And there's another graph about which shows the diversity of the world languages. Out of that 6,500, the major groups and the biggest languages, this graph shows the biggest 17 languages, which is not surprisingly the first one is Mandarin. It's based on population. So what's happening to the languages now? Just I would like to say give you a metaphorical way of explaining it. Let's just say that each and every language or community represents a core where people are singing and speaking their languages, which is actually not even so far from the reality. So when they start speaking or singing in the core, those dominant languages groups, they adding more and more members to their core, and the sound of these large groups and large languages will be draining down the languages and the sound of the core of the smaller non-dominant languages. And the small languages start fading away slowly by slowly till they go extinct. As you see, the process is in progress. We have no power to stop it, but we all possess the power to direct and decide of the outcome. So what are the most important questions we need to ask ourselves? The first one is how we want this to happen and what would serve the best of our interests globally, culturally, and on the individual levels. Global Communication Project gives you answers to these questions. What are those answers? We can find answers in collaboration, which summarizes all the strength and potentials of all the diversity of the languages, and creativity, which opens up the experiment and the exploration to create new ways of communication all around the globe and connect and achieve global connectivity. So we are prepared. Technologically we are prepared for this step. We just need to make this small step into human interaction. The technologically preparation and global connectivity, that leap was successfully taken by the introduction of internet. But those connections with global connectivity is created among machines. We just need to make a small step to create the human interaction among real people to have real global communication. I can hear Neil Armstrong saying, "One small step for a man, but a giant leap for mankind." Two can do more than one. Just imagine, what if 7 billion would do the same? Just imagine the feeling of stepping on the moon for the first time. You are out there. There's silence around you. It is gigantic. You see different matters around you. You can't even phrase them. You can't find words for them. You've never seen them before. Nobody ever has done that before. Nobody ever been there. You can't even imagine. You never ever dreamed of. This is way beyond. Look, on the right side. There's the sun. It is closer, and it is not up anymore. It is on your right side. It is different. It is magnificent. And your heart starts pounding. You can't find the words. You don't know what to do because it's so new. it is no to you. That's what Neil Armstrong felt when he, as a first man, stepped on the moon. But Neil Armstrong was alone. Just imagine. We just need to do one thing, say yes, and make that step. Yes, it needs courage, it needs creativity, but mostly it needs to change our perceptions. 7 billion people, as one voice, as one mind, step to the future and speak as one. What a potential! Yes, make that step. But what's the difference? The difference is between you and Neil Armstrong that you're going to have 7 billion people, nearly 7 billion people, holding your hands to make that step with you. So what are the how we can do this? By the act of thinking. Thoughts are just like everything else, are energy. Consciously moved thinking and thoughts are creating advanced and uplift levels. So what are the tools what we have? In the history, we have learned successfully to use our body mechanically. Therefore, our great-grandparents, parents, and grandparents, they work their body hard. What if we start using our body wisely and take a big leap of faith and create a new dimension? We have our tools, our holy trilogy, mind, spirit, body, and we do have our God-given six senses, which is sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and the sixth sense is knowing, which is like intuition and creative, mind conscious way of conscious mind. Each and every senses we have a physical form imprinted into our body. Like sight has an eye, smell has a nose, etc., etc. How we can, as long as we live in a paradoxon realm, each and every sense or channel has an opposite pole, opposite pulsation, opposite direction of pulsation as an energy, if you want to hear it, and two different kind of function. Even though they are opposite function, just like in our senses, open and closed, they do because of their function, they create a different kind of perception and experiments, but yet both the functions are very important. These are the basics of the tools what we will need to use to create a new perception, new experience in our new realm, in a new dimension. Because of the time limitation of this presentation, I don't have time to go into details of the techniques, but the Global Communication Project explains that. So what is the future direction? How we can put this knowledge together with our existing system? As I mentioned before, that our existing system, like our language or the computers, and every human invention based on digital system. The digital system is good in a way, and that sense, the strength and potential of that system are the data storage, logical processes, which is data organization and data storage. Computers are using zeros and ones, all digital structures. On the other hand, we do have our whole universe around us, because the nature carries information in analog system, in frequencies and light waves and sound waves, passes information, carries information, and creates imagery patterns, visual patterns, just like our body, our brain, and our mind. We are all connected to one world. If you think that if you come into this room and you close the door, do you think the air is outside, you're going to separate it and there's another separated air inside the room or in the universe? No, that's all the same. As you see, we are all part, just like our body, the nature by nature created, but body and our senses are all analog. We need to just combine these two and use it in harmony with nature and in the universal laws. So that's exactly what Global Communication Project solves and explains and gives solutions and suggestions for those techniques. This is exactly a rediscovery, and I would say that all of our system, we need to put it and reorganize it and put it in a different kind of system. Only the method of using these tools are different. So GCP combines digital with analog, create a new world language, because our language, for example, English language as a digital system, coding information with alphabets, which is we have 26 alphabet in English language, and it's, as just previously explained, fundamental differences does not really connect with our brain. That's why it's really hard to read a book, or slower and harder to process those information than watch a video, which is all analog processed information. So that's what exactly GCP does, the global communication, put everything in visual, in imagery patterns, which creates crystal clear information carriage, and it creates global connectivity. Just imagine you watch a movie and you don't need to translate it to 70, 6,500 times for different times. You just have to have one very fast, very efficient, one language for everyone. So it works in harmony with nature and with universal law. And what are the elements? What are the elements of the global communication? The nature from the universe, in a micro world, nature uses light, energy, colors, number, music, and dance to process and carry information. That's on a macro level. And our micro level, which is our body, our human being, we have our six senses imprinted in the physical form, which is the sight, hearing, touch, smell, knowing, taste. All those six senses. We just need to use them together. So as you see, we have all. We do have everything. It doesn't need much. We have given everything which is needed. The tools, six senses, the structure, which are the universal laws, and the knowledge, body functions. So what is new? The only thing is new is the method. Method of using them to serve us better. I would like to close down, and I just would like to say that I dedicated myself to fulfill this goal and try to achieve this global connectivity, and try to get as many people as much as I can to join as a team to create and fulfill this goal for all of our benefits. And it's gonna be much better for the future generation as well. I would like to close with Albert Einstein's thought on this human knowledge, which he explains: the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Albert Einstein. Just remember